Hi and welcome back. This is my second video on just my overall healing journey. So one of the main points for all of this is like if I'm 6 months in the future, I want to be able to take a look at this video, see where I was at, what I was doing, and be able to track my progress because I do have long-term and short-term memory issues. And there'll be more on that in like future videos, but like just a general guess. Like I have memory issues, so I want to be able to see what I'm doing, see how I am now and what the difference is like 6 months down the line, because 10 months before this video, back in January, like basically January, back in January, I was like 300 pounds. Like I was overweight. I have lost 70 pounds since then. I look like a different person. But before I can even start talking about losing 70 pounds out of like the 135, 140 that I am aiming to lose, I gotta just kind of face the facts. I gotta talk about how I gained the weight. And so one of the biggest parts is that growing up, I was not always overweight. Like at graduation, I was like 170 pounds. I'm 5'8". I'm a pretty tall woman. I know taller women, yes, but as far as women go, I am a bit on the taller side. And 170, it's a little overweight, but it's not bad. Like a little bit of like extra fat, especially as a teenager, not a big deal. I didn't start gaining all of the weight until my very early 20s. It would have been probably my second year into college. And one of the reasons that I did end up gaining a lot of weight was the fact that I was not as physically active and I was still eating a lot, because that's one of the big things. But up until like my second year in college, physical education was mandatory. Like every semester we had to take one physical education course. So in like my first semester, like the first 2 semesters, or no, it was like the first semester and the third semester, I took just like weight training at the local like weight room, like recreational center that was in the town. And then the other 2 semesters, when I was still in college at the time, I didn't graduate from college. There'll be more on that later too, and not in this video. That'd be way too long. But the other 2 semesters were Zumba, because I like to dance, and so weight training, Zumba, weight training, Zumba, a lot of walking between classes. But up until that point, I was more or less a moderate, decent weight. Like as a little girl, and like all the way through like little like 6, 7-year-old me, all the way up until like high school, like graduation, 12th grade or 11th grade, because I started driving in like my senior year. I walked to school and on the way home. Like I walked everywhere. And not only that, but like most teenagers, I had a few close friends. I walked to their houses. We would walk around town. We would just, hang out. And part of hanging out in a small town with very little things in it is lots and lots of walking everywhere. I rode a bike all the time with my older sister. Sorry for moving the camera repeatedly. My arm is sore and it's hard just to kind of keep the camera up. I went rollerblading semi-regularly. And my family, we would take trips down to the river where we'd spend all day biking or walking. We would go to some of the state parks in our general area. And we have one, it's like an hour away. It's called Elephant Rocks. It's a massive place, and it has a killer walking trail. Like we'd go there like semi-regularly and just walk and hang out. It's just kind of what we did. And growing up, it was very common for my sister and I, for our mama, our grandmother, she would take us up to the St. Louis Zoo like once a month, or we'd go to like the mall, or we would do something. Like we were always doing something. And so it was easy to kind of keep the weight off because I was active. But the truth of the fact is, even though we were like physically like moving around a lot, we ate like shit. Pardon the French, but like we ate horribly. Like most of our foods were really high processed. We were very low income. I'm not gonna bat around the bush on that. We were very low income, so most of our foods came out of boxes. So like hamburger helper, stuff like that, and like lots of fried chicken, lots of fried potatoes, lots of fried foods, and that was very normal for us. I've always had an issue with eating vegetables. Ever since I was a little kid, it was like going into a war zone when I was a kid. Like my ma, she had the hardest time getting me to eat vegetables, and the only two she could get me to agree on was green beans and peas. That's it. Those are like the only two vegetables I will eat without having a conniption fit. Otherwise, you have to hide them in my food. It's pretty bad. And so, like, one of the things, especially growing up and everything, is that what ended up leading to the weight gain was that as I started replacing all of my walking with driving once I got my driver's license, and then, kind of falling out of college and then getting like a job out of high school where I wasn't as moving around as often, and, also like some mental health issues, severe depression, before we realized I'm bipolar, which is something we just recently learned like last month. We learned last month that I'm bipolar. But when it comes to eating a lot and not having enough activity, I was consuming more than I was burning. And that is the main reason why I gained all of my weight. And like I have like a list here of things that I would normally eat growing up. Things like burgers and fried chicken, pork steaks, lots of potatoes, baked beans. I would eat giant bowls of ice cream as a kid. Like it was one of my favorite things to do. Like I would get like a giant bowl of ice cream. I would pile it over the rim, like over the rim, and I would kind of like let it melt a little bit. So it was kind of like, I don't know, like it was just something about the consistency. It was still kind of cold, but it was kind of runny. And I would eat the crap out of that almost every single night. It was like ice cream every single night after dinner. It was like just like dessert after dinner. But I also ate lots of like peanut butter cups, fruit roll-ups, and other like Hershey bars. I had a really big thing for like easy cheese and like Ritz crackers, and also I would eat like blocks of Velveeta cheese with pickles. If it wasn't for the fact that I now have alpha-gal, I would probably still be eating the Velveeta with the pickles because it's one of my foods. It's one of my foods. I really like it, and that's one of the other things. And it's like I'm on the back part of the page. So like one of the things like I had put in the things to kind of like talk about is like the main culprits to my weight gain. Eating too much. Eating way more than I need. Like not proper portion sizes. Like I didn't even know what a proper portion size was. Like, and like I'm not very in tune with my body, so like the entire like eat until you're full. That sounds just to kind of let people know that they went through the gate. I'm at my sister's house. I'm watching her dogs and stuff for her while they're out hunting. But I ate too much. I drink tons of Coke. Like that's still one of the things. It's one of my bad coping skills. But I always make sure that when I am drinking my Coke that it does not exceed my calorie limit for the day. I account for how much the Coke adds because it's one of the few things that keeps me sane at the moment. Not exercising. I had sleep problems growing up and I still do. It's not as bad as it was because one of my medications knocks me out. But when it comes to something like weight gain, you have the obvious factors like the ones I just mentioned. But there are other factors on my end that also help contribute to my weight gain. I have PCOS. Is that the reason I gained weight? No, I gained weight because I ate like a freaking cow and I wasn't moving. Like, I know that. But I also know that having PCOS means that my body has a harder time losing the freaking weight. And I also have a hypothyroid. My thyroid does not work. Like, I just recently got on a medication. The weight's coming off a little easier since taking it. I've always had gut issues. My gut, like, it's just, my stomach's bad. My gallbladder has been an issue for years, and I got that removed this year. So I'm also post gallbladder surgery, like, as well. So there's that issue. I've been dealing, like I had mentioned with earlier, like I have been dealing with chronic crippling depression. And I'd have these moments as it was like a yo-yo where I'd be like super depressed for very long periods of time, and then suddenly I'd have like 2 or 3 days of just like hyper productive, like just like good moods, and then I'd crash back down before kind of mellowing out into like this middle area where I'm not happy or sad. And back when I was younger, we didn't really think much of it. Turns out that I'm just bipolar. I'm bipolar too. So I have more as I think they refer to it as a cyclothmic disorder. So like long periods of depressions and then like brief periods of highs. They just got me medication for that to help stabilize that. And on top of it, I also have autism and ADHD. All of these factor into how I perceive things around me. They impact like textures, foods I'm able to eat, things that I can actually tolerate swallowing. Like I cannot, like tapioca or like rice pudding, just like the textures themselves, like, oh my God, it makes me want to puke just thinking about it. And so like I am very sensitive to textures. I am sensitive to taste. I am sensitive to smells. And for the longest time, I grew up with very certain foods. And so those are the foods that I would try to eat because that's what I grew up with. And I don't like change when it comes to my foods. And when you grew up in a very unhealthy eating pattern, and that's what's been established, you have to break that. And it took me getting alpha-gal to actually break that because all the foods that I would eat would destroy my gut. So yeah, it was alpha-gal that literally had me like looking at new foods and trying new things, and then slowly working through that. And so that's just one of the things. And like I don't want to keep this video too long. I don't want this to like drag on and on and on because what's the point? So we're winding down. So like I mentioned, January I was 290 pounds. I was 300 freaking pounds. That's a lot of weight. Like if I move, like I've always been able to sit like cross-legged, but like in January my stomach was out to like here. Like I could put my arm down like on the side and like my back was like rounding out. Like I am half of what I was essentially. Like it's what it kind of feels like. My face is a lot thinner. Like it's been a very dramatic change, but like I was bigger. Like even like my stomach would hang down like over like towards my thighs. And a lot of that I have lost. It is November. I am 220 pounds, maybe a little lighter. I don't know. I won't know until I weigh myself. My goal weight, just for like my height and everything, like I keep an eye on like the BMI schedule, like scale and everything, because your height impacts it, like muscle mass, stuff like that. All of it has like an impact. And there's like this bio scale inside the gym I go to when I have the energy to go to the gym, that the last time I checked it said I had anywhere from like 120 to 140 pounds of muscle. And so I've been trying to keep that muscle and then just kind of like lose the weight. My goal weight, 155. It's in the okay range, which is why I like it. So overall, my goal is to lose 130, 135, 140 pounds. I am halfway there. Which makes me super excited. And, you know, I have like another 65 to 70 pounds to lose before I am at my weight, like at my goal weight where I want to be. I have a lot to learn between now and then, which, you know, that's fine. It's just part of what I am doing. And I know for a fact that I am not going to stop until I get where I want. Because if there's one thing that has been kind of like my motto, is I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. So that's it for today. And I'll probably be trying to do these like every other week or every 3 weeks. I don't know. Like, this is still really weird and kind of awkward for me. But yeah, the next video I'm going to be talking about how I've been actually tackling the weight loss, the things that I have been doing personally, what works for me, and also some of the struggles that comes from being neurospicy, and kind of a glimpse of that is this giant thing. This is a protein shake. It is one of my main meals. Sometimes it is my only meal of the day because it's one of the only things that I can tolerate having in my stomach. Is this sustainable? No. I know that. I am working on it. I have a caseworker. I have a therapist. We are working on it. But there will be more about that, this thing right here, in the next video. So until then, stay safe, everyone, and I will see you then. Bye.